As you can tell, we're back at the beach on the west coast of America in the Los Angeles area, but this is Huntington Beach. Let's come over here and take a look. There is the Huntington Beach town, and you can see the pier. This is the longest pier in or on the west coast, I'm told. It's a quarter of a mile, and you can see the people down here. Just a beautiful beach. Gorgeous. What a perfect day to be on the beach. Take a look over here. These are the surfers, and this is known as a surfing beach. This is Surf City, USA. And that's why the surfers come from all over the world. They have the best waves here. Today they look rather tepid, but you can see a number of them are waiting for the best wave, and the reason they're all up against the pier here, I understand, is because this is where they get the best girls. Now you can see some of the guys are getting ready to take this wave here. Let's see if they make it. There's a guy up on, nope, didn't make it. Here comes a guy, and you can see him cutting over. This is what they do, and he washes out there. So this is Huntington Beach, California. I'm here for some conferences, and I'm also speaking, but I'm also continuing this series that we have on the Qur'an, on this book here, the Qur'an, and we've been talking about the universal application of this book. Is this book really applicable? And that's the question I want to continue with, because we've referred to the problems with women, and we've gone to quite a bit on the women. When we were in Brazil, we talked about some of the problem chapters in the Qur'an. Now, I want to go back to the Qur'an because it does mention that the model for all Muslims is Muhammad, and I want to go to those references that talk about this, starting with chapter 53, verse 3, referring to Muhammad, though it doesn't give his name, as I've said before, just this prophet. Nor does he speak from his own desire. It is only a revelation revealed. So the Qur'an that is revealed to the Prophet Muhammad is not from his own desire, and that's why Muslims say we must go to him for our example. You continue on down, and this idea of a good example is found in chapter 33, verse 21. In the messenger of Allah, you have a good example to follow. Now, another reference would be chapter 68, verse 4. Surely you, referring to Muhammad, are an exalted character. So since he is a good character, since he doesn't speak from his own desires, then you have the references to say to obey him. So let's go to those. That's in chapter 4, verse 80. He who obeys the messenger has indeed obeyed Allah. That's another one that comes out of that is chapter 47, verse 33. And Allah said, O you who believe, obey Allah and obey his messenger. Now this is repeated over and over again. That's just one example of many references to obey Allah and to obey his messenger. The inference, of course, for Muslims is this must be Muhammad. Now, what I want to do is I want to apply that. Let's just take a look at Muhammad and see if he really is that good of an example. We're going to go through a number of these, and we're going to ask this question. Is he really that good of an example that we should obey him? Well, I want to just look at three places that bother me a little bit, and I would say it would not be a good example. Aisha, the favorite wife of Muhammad, is very critical of him in one place because he seems to fulfill his desires at will. And this you find in Al Bukhari, volume 6, book 60, hadith number 311. Let me just read what it says. Narrated by Aisha, this is her speaking. Remember, Aisha is the bride of Muhammad. She was the wife of Muhammad when she was 7 years old. He then consummated that marriage when she was 9 and he was 53. We have to keep repeating that point because that already shows you that there's a problem as a model for mankind. That's not a model for today. Maybe for the 7th century, but not for the 21st century that we live in now. And this is what Aisha said. I used to look down upon those ladies who had given themselves to Allah's apostle, and I used to say, can a lady give herself to a man? But when Allah revealed, you, referring to Muhammad, can postpone the turn of whom you will of them, your wives, so you can decide who you want to sleep with. You may receive any of them whom you will, so it's up to you, Muhammad, who you take or who you leave go. And there is no blame on you if you invite one whose turn you have set aside temporarily. I said to the Prophet, this is Aisha saying, I feel that your Lord hastens in fulfilling your wishes and desires. So here, even the wife of Muhammad is questioning this idea that he can pretty much decide who he wants to sleep with, even though there's already a rota, because he is given that ability. So you can see, she's even saying, there's a problem here. This cannot be a great model. There's another reference, and this is Tirmidhi, Ibn Tirmidhi, hadith number 964. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. When Allah's messenger was asked which woman was best, he replied, the one who pleases her husband when he looks at her, obeys him when he gives a command, and does not go against his wishes regarding her person or property by doing anything of which she disapproves. So you can see, as far as Muhammad is concerned, that good women are those who mainly obey her. That continues on, because Muhammad then continues on in Ibn Dawud, book number 11, number 2135. Look and see what he says here. And he's talking about who, one of the followers of Muhammad is coming to him and say, should we bow down to you, Muhammad? And he says, well, would you bow down when I'm in the grave? And then he continues to say, and Muhammad says to Qais ibn Sa'd, if I were to command anyone to make prostration before another, I would command women to prostrate themselves before their husbands because of the special right over them given to husbands by Allah. So when you look at these three examples, this idea in the Quran, in chapter 4, chapter 53, chapter 47, chapter 33, and chapter 68, that he is the greatest example, he is the one that we're to obey, and that he doesn't do this out of his own desire. When we actually look at his life from the traditions that speak about his life, we find that this is not the greatest example. He does have specific desires, and more than that, if that is the problem, and I see it as a problem, I don't know if you do, then why should we obey him? Is this the kind of man we should really be following today? Well, that's the question I'm asking here in Huntington Beach. Isn't it great, that beautiful waves behind me? Isn't it terrific as we look out over the beach over there? Just look at all the bathers coming around over here to the city itself of Huntington Beach. We're trying to find out if this man, Muhammad, if this book, the Quran, is relevant for today. There's an example where, though the Quran says specifically we're to obey him because he is the best example, I can see of 3 different references there that I don't think we should obey. What we're going to do next, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to go on to looking at his wives. And I want to look and see if his wives are a good example for us to follow today. So, this is Jay here in Huntington Beach on a beautiful day in front of a beautiful surf with lots of beautiful people.